many Ghanaians to own a home before they die may remain unrealized due to several factors, including low incomes and the lack of affordable housing options. As the country's housing deficit rises to nearly 2 million units, Channel One News' Fauzu Masaudu examines the structural and market imbalances that continue to price many Ghanaians out of decent housing.
Despite significant increase in the country's total dwelling units from 5.82 million in 2010 to over 10 million in 2021, the Population and Housing Census reveals that nearly 1.3 million of these units remain unoccupied. This situation persists amid a housing deficit estimated at about 2 million units, highlighting deep structural and market challenges that continue to limit access to affordable housing for many Ghanaians. Confidence Mausi, a young student and worker, expresses frustration over high rent charges, which he says make it extremely difficult to save enough money to purchase a home.
First, the story has to be told. How can a young person raise about 15,000, 20,000 to pay for accommodation, which is virtually a year?
And this is even for renting.
And this is just for renting. So if you're asking me, I would say yes, you can own a home in Ghana, but it is where you want to own it. That's the problem. So the conversation would really want to start from one. How can young people even rent a room? After rent, how can they even save towards getting a family? And then to think of owning a home. So that's where the conversation really wants to start from here. In Ghana, an average young person out of university will earn around 3,000 to 4,000 for most young people. Now, if you are taking about 4,000 times 12, it's what, 48,000 a year. Now, your landlord, if you decide to stay within close to your work, somewhere close to Accra, will virtually be taking you something close to 19,800. Now, don't forget that the agent who is looking for the house for you take 10%, and then that is 22,000 Ghana cedis.
Managing Director of Rehoboth Estate, William Sasu, attributes the relatively high cost of housing to the operational expenses within the real estate industry.
Naturally, we are private sector operators, and as a private sector operator, we are profit motivated. But when the right environment is created by the provision of the necessary incentives, tax waivers, import duty reductions, provision of land banks or maybe affordable land, and then also construction loans. If they are able to give us loans at very good rates, it should be possible for us to partner government in the provision of affordable housing for the people of this country.
However, Confidence does not entirely agree. He strongly attributes the situation to the lack of robust housing policies, particularly those that encourage private sector partnership.
Looks like now the whole housing and rent structure has become more of a private commodity, and then it's a profit-making business. So the more you build houses, the more you do estate, and then the more you get money. I mean, it can be the case, but then what should be the plight of a young Ghanaian who is 23 years and you want him to wait 20,000 cedis to get a room? It's not possible. Now, then again, it's renting and then owning a home has not been considered as an economic right and a social right. We want to build houses. Go through the streets of Accra. All the signboards you see are selling houses in dollars. I'm working and taking cedis. You are telling me to come and pay a room for in dollars. It's not working.
Successive governments, in efforts to address the country's growing accommodation challenges, have introduced several initiatives, including the National Rent Assistance Scheme, the revised National Affordable Housing Program, and other rent-to-own schemes. But how affordable are these houses in reality, and what truly defines affordability in the Ghanaian housing context?
Affordable housing has come up as to what constitutes affordability. And it is important to note that it's a relative term, because if a person spends generally about 30% or over 30% of his income on housing, then clearly it is not affordable. But because it is relative, they vary from situation to situation and from person to person. So generally, that is the standard practice or standard definition of what constitutes affordability.
He believes that deliberate efforts by real estate developers such as Rehoboth Social Housing Project and stronger public-private partnerships could significantly help address the country's home ownership challenges.
We formed our sister company, Rehoboth Social Housing. The objective was to help support the construction of social housing in Ghana. So, in a way, we are also paying our dues. We are supporting the construction of affordable housing. So yes, we are profit motivated, but if you come to the social housing side, Rehoboth Social Housing is really pushing at the moment, and we are doing the best that we can. Prices over there are quite within the range of an ordinary Ghanaian, and we think that it's a good thing. And I've said it repeatedly, it's for government to identify the players in the industry who can partner or support it so that we can help turn out the house in large numbers. Once we are able to do that, then we can give opportunity for young graduates and middle income earners to be able to own properties.
Concerns over housing are even more pronounced in the public sector. A massive housing deficit driven by disproportionate housing delivery, limited funding and financing, policy and planning failures and delays in project execution continues to undermine government intervention. Managing Director of the State Housing Company, John Bauer, while acknowledging the growing concerns, outlined the measures being implemented by the Mahama-led administration to address the challenge.
To bring in major contracting companies, both local and international, who have the financial muscle. You know, one of the biggest strengths state housing has is our brand equity and consumer trust. And so once the buildings start going up, as you heard the business development manager say, this building is already sold out, and yet we're just commissioning it. So our offtake is our security.
For others, however, despite prevailing socio-economic challenges, disciplined financial planning and effective saving strategies could still make a difference.